Hi, Jonathan Baer. This is Robert Jansen from Outsource Brazil. I'd like you to introduce yourself to our audience, please.
I'm Jon Baer, I'm Managing General Partner of Threshold Ventures, and I'm a recovering venture capitalist, which means I don't invest anymore, but work with companies and investors around the world.
And for how long have you been doing that? Or how long have you been in the investment environment?
I have been in and around startups for the last 35 years.
Very good. John, can you give us a little bit of your view of how you see the current scenario in the Brazilian ecosystem?
Sure. And as you may know, I've spent a fair amount of time in Brazil, working with a number of incubators, accelerators, as well as entrepreneurs in Brazil and Brazilian groups who have visited here in the States. There are a lot of great entrepreneurs in Brazil. There are less early stage investors, and there aren't a lot of real savvy, value added investors in Brazil currently.
So, workshops such as Investor Insights become a key component to help develop and stimulate that growth for early stage investors, correct?
That's correct.
Yes. So, what are the key things that people who will be coming to the workshop in May 5th, May 6th in Rio, which will be the first one of a series, will be able to discuss and learn from your workshop?
Well, they're going to learn a number of things. First, they're going to learn and get the perspective that entrepreneurs have. And I think that's really critical. One of the reasons that I consider myself, today a better investor, although I'm not actually investing, than I ever was because I've been a general partner of a venture fund. I've been the founder and CEO of two venture-backed startups. I've worked with entrepreneurs all over the world. Gaining that understanding of how it really works, understanding from the entrepreneur viewpoint is really critical if people are going to be better value-added investors.
Okay. So, yeah, considering that there are many things that are very important within that whole content that you're going to present to the participants of the workshop, what would you say would be the killer silver bullet for them?
So I've never met a startup that didn't need help in one form or another. And if you look, the most successful venture investors are the people who, not only identify solid entrepreneurs, good business opportunities, but provide added value to the companies, in the form of introductions, in terms of help, in terms of insight, in terms of guidance when things go wrong. Because, in fact, things go wrong in every startup. And sometimes the team is able to adequately address those issues. Very often they need help, advice, they need a sounding board. And, from this 2-day workshop, investors are going to get a better understanding of how they can be value-added investors, how it really works in a startup, and how they can help create more successful companies.
Very good. And as a last question, John, I'd like you to be able to share with us, considering that the current scenario in Brazil, there are many investors investing in other domains. They are not very familiar with the entrepreneurship and startup ecosystem. So what would be the key message that you would like to say to these people who invest in real estate, who invest in other types of ventures that are more conservative, so they could start contemplating investing in startups as well?
Well, I think there are a couple of things there, Robert. First, there's no such things as a risk-free investment, whether that's in real estate, whether it's oil, gas, it doesn't matter. There is risk. And there is risk in venture capital investments. But There are things that people can do as savvy venture investors to understand the risk, characterize the risk, and manage that risk. So that's an important element of what they'll learn. They'll also learn how to be better as venture investors. And, they may decide there are things that they are interested in investing in, and how you invest, the role you play, varies. You can be an active venture investor. You can be more of a passive venture investor. And understanding that full range of things that one can do in venture capital, I think, is really important.
Thank you very much, Jon. So we had Jonathan Baer from Threshold Ventures, who's coming down to Brazil May 5th, May 6th in Rio de Janeiro to give a 2-day workshop on how to pick up on the best practices from Silicon Valley when you evaluate investments in startups. Thank you very much, Jon.
Thank you, Robert.